world of FNAF is full of mysterious characters, but none are as mysterious as the one known only as the Crying Child. He has had so many different identities and theories crafted around him that there is so much that we don't know for sure, but there are things we do know. So to quote Rhett and Link, let's talk about that. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Carmen Monroe and I have 3 days left of not being able to drink in the States. The FNAF lore is so dense and complicated that nothing is really certain, so remember that these facts may change after a new book or game is released. So, if you're here after something new has come out in the series, chill out in the comments, okay? Cause like, it doesn't exist right now. So, I don't predict the future, okay? I'm not psychic. I'm not psychic friend Fredbear. Because in today's list, we're talking the top 10 FNAF Crying Child facts. Hit like and subscribe if you love FNAF, and if you want more, check out our FNAF playlist. There is so many top 10s and even some gameplay in there for you. There's over 12 hours worth of FNAF content, and at this point, there's like nearly 80 videos in it. Oh wait, this is the 80th video in the FNAF playlist. Whoa! Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's get started. In a 10 appearance, Crying Child, who we see in the FNAF 4 minigames, originally had no character name associated with him. At first, he was just the Crying Child that had a striped shirt and tears going down his face. This was actually the beginning of the speculation as to who these animatronics were possessed by. Originally, thanks to his appearance, we thought that the Crying Child was the puppet, since the puppet had a similar arm pattern to the child's shirt, and you know, the streams of tears down his cheeks closely resemble that of the puppet's purple streaks. However, this was later proven to be false when we literally saw the puppet and Charlotte combined in FNAF 6. Well, we knew that it wasn't true beforehand, but it was finally, like, confirmed in FNAF 6. The appearance of the Crying Child really threw us for a loop. This character has honestly been so problematic with the lore of the series. Like, he's caused so many things to go awry. My god. In at 9, family. This kid has one messed up family, okay? Now I want to get one thing straight. The Crying Child is not Michael Afton. Originally we knew this, but then the security logbook made it seem like the Crying Child was Michael Afton, which confused us because like, how could he have gotten chomped but then still end up going to dismantle his father's enterprise? But that's not the case. Michael Afton is the Crying Child's brother, the one who wears the Foxy mask and scares him regularly. This kid is also the son of William Afton, mostly known as the Purple Guy, the man behind the slaughter, the main killer of the series. Springtrap, Scrap Trap, Will Trap, Breaker of Chains, and father of deceased children. The Purple Guy is this kid's father, okay? And it's pretty messed up because, well, the kid found out, which sets up a whole load of other possibilities as to if the chomp was really an accident and stuff, but like, well, let's not get into that. And at 8, the Bite of 80, what? The FNAF games are amazing at setting up mystery and dividing the community on certain things. The identity of Springtrap is one of them. There is probably still people who are certain that Michael Afton is Springtrap thanks to the end cutscene of Sister Location. However, this isn't the case, okay? I'm gonna say this for the final, it's not the final time. It's William, guys. But the other thing is that everyone was divided on the Bite. The Bite of 87 is the most famous date in FNAF lore. It was revealed in the first game as an incident that got someone's frontal lobe bitten off by an animatronic in 1987, which made all animatronics lose free roaming privileges during the day. What we see in the FNAF 4 minigames, however, does take place during 1983, as shown on the TV and in the 1983 Easter egg that has the cameras showing the FNAF 4 house in Sister Location. If you type in 1983, you get the FNAF 4 house. 1983 equals FNAF 4. The chomp, as I'm calling it, does indeed take place in 1983 instead of 1987, so there you go. And it's 7, Astro Boy. When we thought the Crying Child was indeed Michael Afton, we had to find some reason for how this could be possible. So in typical theory fashion, we turned to other media. The media we turned to in this case was the original FNAF book trilogy, which ended with the 4th Closet, which kept making me think that there were 4 books in that series, but that's aside the point. In the book, we learn that Henry built his daughter into 4 different robots. That's what the title means, 4th Closet. Implanting memories in each of them so that she could grow up even after death. So, after hearing that there were hyper-realistic robots that were so realistic they can turn other characters on, it felt free to assume that the same thing happened to Michael. That after getting chomped, Henry was so stricken with grief after losing 2 kids that he rebuilt him as a robot, and that robot went on to get scooped and, you know, everything else. But this isn't true. Because, in at number 6, death. The crying child does indeed die when getting chomped, as we see in the FNAF 4 final cutscene where Michael puts him in the mouth of Golden Freddy, even though the crying child is terrified of them. His tears moisten the spring locks, and then just like his father, he gets subjected to a spring lock failure. But crying child actually dies. He is rushed to the hospital, but death in the form of Nightmare gets him. We hear the sound of a flatline as he dies. As he dies, however, he meets the spirits of his old friends, the missing children, who say that they're still his friends and that while yes, he's broken because his father is a killer and that everything he loved ended up killing him, they will put him back together. While tragic, at least he got to spend the afterlife with the people he loved the most, who were taken from him too soon at the hands of his dastardly father. And his brother, Michael, will spend the rest of his life repenting for his sins and the accidental killing of his brother by dismantling his father's criminal empire. Oh wait, the Missing Children's incident was in 1985, wasn't it? Halfway through at number 5, Friendly Fan. In the beginning, the crying child actually loved the Fazbear animatronics. His father made them, so of course he would. He would go there on a regular basis. He had plushies of the original 5, and his sister even had a Funtime Foxy. The crying child in reality loved everything his father created, until he witnessed the true nature of what his daddy done did. His father created a robot that was meant to trap children inside, which is probably why he told them to stay away from Baby. But Elizabeth didn't listen, and when she got close after crying child I'm sure warned her against it, she got grabbed, taken by a robot arm reaching out of Baby's stomach, pulling her inside and killing her. He saw all this happen before his very eyes, and what was once a love for the characters his father helped create quickly turned into hatred and fear for what his dad had made. And 4, Mistaken Identity. This isn't uncommon with FNAF characters. We think we know who they are, but then they turn out to be someone else entirely. We thought that Golden Freddy was Cassidy, now it could be multiple souls. We thought that Michael was Springtrap, but he isn't. We thought he could be Scraptrap, but he isn't. We have mistaken so many characters for who they are, it's probably making Scott very happy. But we have not done that as much with any other character than we have with the crying child. The crying child has been thought to be the puppet Golden Freddy, currently one half of Golden Freddy, Michael Afton, and other various names given to him by the community, but we don't know if any of these are true. We know which ones aren't true, but we only think that the crying child is part of Golden Freddy. It could be, since he tells Michael it's me, but we know that Michael looks a lot like his father, so maybe it's Cassidy saying it's me, the one you should not have killed, to someone that she thinks is William. There are so many variables, and there isn't enough information to really make a good guess, but we're still trying. Don't get me wrong, I believe that he is a part of Golden Freddy, but I'm just saying that we don't know for certain. But what we do know for certain is that in at number 3, Unnamed. The crying child has never been given an official canon name. He isn't Michael, he isn't Chris, no official canon source has named him. He isn't named Chuck like he is in Step Closer, and he isn't named Stan. He has been given no canon name from any source, so if people are arguing with you about his name and saying that he has one, feel free to direct them to this video and say that no, he doesn't. Hi, all the people who are being told no he doesn't. Because on no official wiki is he labeled as Chris Afton, always the crying child. So please, for the love of sweet baby Rays, stop saying that he does, okay? Don't call him Chris or Chuck or Stan or Dipper or Charles or hell even Prince Clifford Tuckett III. No name has been associated with this character other than the crying child. He isn't the puppet, he could be Golden Freddy, and he isn't Michael. Well, he could be Michael, but that's a theory for another list. It's a long story. We don't know his name, and you're just gonna have to accept that. I'm sorry, but it's true. Penultimately, in at number 2, Scarred. The crying child has clearly been scarred by the things he's seen. He may not have witnessed the Missing Children's incident since it does take place in 1985, but there is clearly some mental trauma that he has dealt with. The nightmare animatronics that are usually viewed as being seen by the crying child have mouths for their stomachs, clearly showing the location of the animatronic arm that Baby used to scoop Elizabeth up. The child became so fearful of these restaurants that he began to collapse and fall to the ground crying whenever he came close to one of the animatronics, even if it was just a man in a suit. The way we've seen this child evolve is clearly showing us his mental trauma and scarring that has happened over such a short amount of time too. At least he got a break from it all, you know, in death, when the friends he once had can put him back together. Finally, in at number 1, Legacy. This kid, while he may be fictional, and, dead, still has a whole legacy in the FNAF universe as well as our own. This kid is the reason the FNAF franchise exists, and while yes, he wasn't the first to die, he still was the reason for Michael starting to go around and trying to set the souls free, thus leading to FNAF 1. So while he may not have been the reason for FNAF 1 when it was released, he sure is the reason for it now. This kid has dealt with so much trauma, with having a father as a serial killer, seeing him kill a kid and stuff him, probably being friends with the original missing children, and then getting killed at the hands of Fredbear by your brother after your crying moistened the locks and made him chomp down on your head, then having hallucinations in the hospital that nightmare versions of the animatronics you once loved are coming after you. Jeez. It's pretty sad when you think about it. Poor kid. There we have it, friends, the top 10 FNAF Crying Child facts. Which facts surprised you the most, and what facts should I include in a part 2? Because I have a feeling this is going to get a part 2. Be sure you let me know down below, and on your way down, be sure you hit like and subscribe for daily gaming content, and ring that bell to join the clan and level up. FNAF was made thanks to a terrible review on one of Scott's other games, Chipper & Sons Lumber Co. And thanks to that one review saying the characters looked like robotic and like animatronics, we received the highly praised series of Five Nights at Freddy's, much to our and Scott Cawthon's joy. That one review set in motion a chain of events that would change the horror genre and be an inspiration to us all, and while on some things we are still divided, the internet has, for the most part, come together in an effort to solve this obscure lore and cement certain things in fact. And we indeed have. Somewhat. Greetings gamers and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Connor Monroe, and you don't need a parachute to go skydiving. You need a parachute to go skydiving twice. If you haven't subscribed yet, then what are you doing? Join us for daily gaming content and start with today's list of the top 10 FNAF Springtrap facts. Okay, roll the intro. And at 10, William Afton. I've said it before and I'll say it until the day this stops being an issue. Springtrap contains the body of William Afton inside. We see Purple Guy run into the Golden Spring Bonnie suit at the end of Five Nights 3, where due to the moisture in the air and William's rush, he ended up getting trapped inside thanks to the spring locks, and then he ends up collapsing, but take note, we never really see him die. He's just twitching, as he was in the trailer to that game, and while yes, Michael may be literally purple now, as his flesh decayed after entered him in sister location, just because he's literally purple doesn't mean he's the killer. And just because when Michael says, "I'm going to come find you" at the end of sister location, and then Springtrap appears, that does not mean that Springtrap is him. We see that Michael was at sister location, and this camera movement takes place at Fazbear Fright. That was burnt down by Henry in an attempt to kill William because we all know who did it. William is inside Springtrap, not Michael. Scott even confirmed this when talking about MatPat's timeline after Ultimate Custom Night came out, saying if you're hung up on the whole Will Trap versus Mike Trap debate, watch MatPat's video. And in that video, MatPat says that it is indeed William in the suit, not Michael. There you go, please, stop. And at 9, it's a suit. While the Springtrap suit contains William's body, it is still a suit. The Golden Bonnie animatronic was a spring-locked suit, which as Phone Guide tells us is a specially designed suit that doubles as both animatronic and suit. Meaning that the spring-lock mechanics in the Golden Bonnie suit would retract like some form of even more complex Iron Man and create enough room for a person to climb inside and wear like your normal Chuck E. Cheese suit. Obviously, they weren't amazingly designed since there were some flaws. Like when they get wet, the spring locks can close easily, which is why Michael got bit in FNAF 4 and why William got snapped while in the suit. The suit also is clearly meant to be a suit since it has 5 fingers and 5 toes, which the other suits are lacking in favor of 4 fingers and 3 toes. It's even more clear when looking at the secret menu screens for FNAF 3, where on rare occasions you can see a skinless William Afton trying to get out of the suit by prying the head open. Yeah, it's weird. And at 8, secret room. All Freddy Fazbear locations had a secret room, a room that was secret because it was invisible to the animatronics, meaning that while every other room was programmed into their pathfinding, this room wasn't, and because it was never mentioned to any customer. Only employees that were around before they sealed them up. Why did they seal up these rooms? Because William Afton was stuck inside one, and if they just closed the one, that would look kinda suspicious. He was twitching in the Spring Bonnie suit. This is seen in the FNAF 3 final minigame where we see William run into the suit and then collapse. This is the safe room as indicated by the fact that the Shadow Freddy can find it, but you as an animatronic are physically unable to enter because your pathfinding doesn't allow it. William uses this to hide inside and then dismantle you as you try to find him, but he ends up unintentionally releasing the spirits of the children he killed. After he gets snapped in the suit, they fade away, but are only really put to rest when you get the good ending and give Golden Freddy the party she wanted, even if it's not enough for her to let go, which is kinda salty. I mean, like, it must have been a really bad cake. Come on, puppet. Chop chop. And it's 7, no head.
So no head?
The suit doesn't have an endoskeleton head, get your mind out of the gutter. It's actually impossible for it too, since even with the crazy advanced tech that these places have, you cannot move an endoskeleton head as they are presented in the games away enough for a normal head that just barely fits inside to fit inside. This is also shown in the menu screens when William is trying to remove the Springtrap head. There is no form of robotic head present. It's his eyes and his meat. How on earth would the face operate in the Springlock suit if there was no proper head? Is it just a different form of robot or like a different arrangement of parts to get everything working more efficiently? Because if that's the case, why isn't that the case with every animatronic? If it costs the company less to manufacture, I'm sure William would be fine with it if not encourage it, since he gets his daily fill of child murder and he saves a little bit of money on the side, so might as well. Well, maybe it's more expensive, but if that's the case, I'm sure it's easier to just make a separate suit than paying extra for a specially designed suit that doubles as both animatronic and suits. Like, just make a separate one. You can still kill kids in it. And at 6, no clear motive. We know that William Afton is the purple guy and that he is the Springtrap and that he is the killer, but what we don't know for sure is why. We know his boy gets chomped and then he sets out to put him back together as a robot, but he was killing kids before that even happened. What we don't know is why he's doing it. We know he sets out to create more Remnant in an effort to unlock the secrets to eternal life or something like that after he discovers Remnant, but why did he start killing kids in the first place? Did one act like Braith and just really piss him off? Was it just something he wanted to try? Is it some weird fetish? He clearly feels emotion since he felt sad after losing his son, sad enough to block out the woman Ballora represents from his life, but we don't know 100% why he killed Susie in the first place. Do you have any theories? Do you have any idea why he could have done it? Let me know in the comments because figuring this one out may be the key to solving the rest of the lore that we haven't really figured out already. And at 5, Lie lures. He had to lure kids into the back room somehow, right? So dressed in the Spring Bonnie suit, he told kids all sorts of things to get them backstage. We know he told Susie, the girl who would later possess Chica, that he had her dog that was actually still alive, as indicated by the bleeding dog carcass in the Fruity Maze minigame and the whole Chica the high school year scene where she says, "I told them someone ran over his dog," or something like that.
He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it. I told him that someone ran over his dog in front of my house.
So we know he lies to bring kids backstage, where he ends up killing them for at this point unknown reasons, stuffs the bodies into the animatronics to hide them, and then leaves like nothing happened. It's like that meme where Pennywise is talking to Georgie and he's like, "I have brand new Pokemon cards down here," and then Georgie crawls in. Like, you know the one? For me it would be something like, "I have information about Stephen Amell returning as the Green Arrow down here." Or like I once made one that said, "I have all the other Pokemon you can't get in Sword and Shield down here," and that one would honestly get me. Pokemon is the one game that shouldn't need a DLC, okay? Forgot this was a FNAF list. And at 4, Scrap Trap. Scrap Trap is the same as Springtrap. Pink guy is purple guy, is Springtrap, is Scrap Trap, is William Afton. There's an entirely separate debate online that is along the lines of William is Springtrap but Michael is Scrap Trap or something like that, and it's just ridiculous. Why would that be true? The only Spring Bonnie suit we know of is the one that William was inside before the events of Pizzeria Simulator. For those of you who don't know, Scrap Trap is the version of Springtrap you find outside of the pizzeria in the back alley, like where you find Scrap Baby, Molten Freddy, and Lefty. And in accordance to paragraph 4, you bring it inside so that when the pizzeria burns at the end of the week, everyone who needed to be set free with fire, since that's the only way to destroy remnants, can be set free. Scrap Trap is just a further decayed version of Springtrap. It's not a separate character, it's not its own thing, it's not Michael or anyone new. It's Springtrap, it's William, they are all one and the same. And 3, Ultimate Custom Night. We can all agree at this point that Ultimate Custom Night takes place in hell, and we play as William Afton dealing with the torture we deserved for killing all those kids, but specifically the one we should not have killed. However, the confusing thing to me is that in Ultimate Custom Night, while we play as William Afton, we can also play against animatronics like Springtrap and Scrap Trap, which are indeed versions of us. This is confusing to me, but it makes me wonder, not about Willie being Springtrap, but about what the mechanics of this are. I suppose it could be that he did indeed create that monster, since he hid in the suit to feel more powerful when confronting the spirits, or perhaps it's because it was made of Remnant. Or it could have just been that the characters available are the ones that Afton deemed his greatest failures in his mind. It's even more confusing that in the game code, Scrap Trap is referred to as William Afton, Scott, I know you're clarifying that Scraptrap is William, but that throws a whole lot more wrenches into this than there should be for a final game in the original story. Come on. And 2 names. Springtrap has gone by many names, some being before the name was known, like when the Five Nights 3 trailer came out, some being just simple mistakes. However, they all existed, and technically you could also say that Springtrap went by all the names that the Purple Guy did, since they're the same person, but I'm going to ignore that. Springtrap has also been known as, well, Springtrap, William Afton, Michael Afton, Scraptrap, Spring Bonnie, Golden Bonnie, and most interestingly, Hybrid. This name was brought on when the trailer for Five Nights 3 was released, and technically it was right. The fans assumed that Hybrid was in fact a hybrid of all the toy animatronics which he used to build himself, which could have been the inspiration for creation from The Joy of Creation. But in fact, Springtrap is just a hybrid of human and animatronic suit, not being entirely one or the other, hence why I refused to put him in the scariest animatronics list, especially since I don't really find him that scary. But Amanda put him on when she took apart, but despite that, I still stand by my viewing. I stand by my reasoning, okay? He's not entirely an animatronic. He's still in the suit. We never see him die. Finally, in at number 1, oldie but a goodie. This suit is one hell of an old suit, not to mention how long William was stuck inside it, but this suit dates back all the way to Fredbear's Family Diner, which is crazy, and even if they had this technology when that diner was prominent, that makes me even more concerned about how this thing was Iron Man levels of advanced. And while the decay on Springtrap makes that evident, it confuses me as to how it started to break down when Golden Freddy, a spring lock that is as old if not older than Spring Bonnie, seems fine in the first game. I think it's because those holes and rips were in fact made by William when he was trying to escape the suit. We see him trying to pry off the head, so it would make sense why he would have torn off bits of fur or even removed the whole foot in an effort to be set free. What do you guys think about the Springtrap decay? Let me know your thoughts down below. Father, it's me, Michael. I should be dead, but I'm not. At least not on the outside. Oh, wicked self-burn! Greetings, gamers, and welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host, Carmen Monroe, and yes, I got this shirt specifically for FNAF videos. I won't wear it in any other content, and yes, it's a children's shirt, because any self-respecting adult that doesn't talk about FNAF on the internet for a job wouldn't wear this. With the release of the next Fazbear Frights book, we figured it was a good time to talk about one of the most elusive and confusing characters to ever grace the FNAF series. What do we know about him, and is anything really certain? Well, that's what we're trying to solve with today's list of the top 10 scary FNAF Michael Afton facts. Michael Afton being the son of William Afton, the purple guy, the man behind the slaughter. But did his son take over the family business? Let's see. Be sure you hit like and subscribe if you love the FNAF series, and we will roll the intro. In a 10 soap opera. One fun fact about Michael Afton, actually I don't know if this is fun or if we should actually be afraid, is that he loves the soap opera The Immortal and the Restless, a vampire parody of The Young and the Restless, and I'm assuming Twilight maybe, because of the vampires. I don't actually know where Scott stands on the franchise. Anyway, I'm not sure if we should be amused by his constant watching of the show or afraid, since him watching that show keeps his attention so bad that he doesn't hear Ennard come into his house, and he's just able to crawl in front of the TV while Michael just sits there. No running, no surprise, he just sits there watching Immortal and the Restless. People also seem to think that this is alluding to Michael's relationship with William, saying potentially that the child isn't his. I mean, that is a possibility, but what if it's true, and when William found out he killed the mother, hence why she isn't around? But that doesn't really make any sense, because if he was willing to kill the mother, he wouldn't have kept the kid. Either way, the way Michael gets distracted by a soap opera is scary. Not because it's a soap opera, because he's so distracted he doesn't hear a 7-foot-tall animatronic walking into his house. In a 9, torn identity. Michael, while not going by many names, has had many different identities over the years. While now most of us know who he is, there is a whole section of the community that thinks that Mike is Springtrap. Hell, according to the security logbook, Michael may not even be his real name. Over the years, Michael has gone by Foxy Bro, Crying Child, Purple Guy, Springtrap, and Mike Trap, but they have all been Michael Afton. We don't know why he may not remember his name, and we may not know for certain what's really going on in this series, but I can tell you that 100% he is not Springtrap, okay? Mike Trap is not a thing. Scott Cawthon confirmed it himself in reference to a MatPat theory about FNAF 6, saying to pay attention to his take on the Mike Trap versus Will Trap debate, and Matt did in fact prove to us that Mike Trap is impossible, since when Purple Guy was first introduced in FNAF 2, he had been able to drive since Fredbear's Family Diner, which Mike would 100% not have been old enough to do. Plus, if it was Mike in the Springtrap costume, he wouldn't have been able to set the souls of the other children free like he was doing, because he would have been trapped in the safe room. And at 8, mirror image. We learn from Mike's final monologue in Sister Location that Mike actually looks a lot like his father, saying the animatronics didn't recognize him at first, but then they thought that Mike was William, which explains why the animatronics are coming to kill us in the games and why the toy animatronics come after us in FNAF 2. Because we play as Mike in all those games. Because since now they have William as a killer and they're all looking for him, but instead they find us, his son, Michael Afton, which kind of throws out the whole we aren't his son thing, unless you think about the crying child as the one who isn't the son. But in that case he wouldn't say I'll put you back together, even though he could be someone else who says that, and who knows anymore. Not even MatPat, and we rely on MatPat to get these things right. At least I do. I rely on it. Notice me, senpai. Just comment in all the game theories. Tell him to check out Top 10 Gaming. Love you, MatPat. Don't copyright strike me. And at 7, moral differences. Now, while William and Mike may look alike, that's the only thing they have in common. Genetics aside, these people aren't related in the slightest. If you think about it, these two are the opposites of each other. One is corrupt and kills as a second nature, and the other is trying to repent, making up for his father's crimes as well as his own wrongdoings. We don't know why William started killing, it's all just speculation, but we know why Mike began hunting down the spirits of the children and started setting them free, to make up for his father's mistakes and to let his brother have the peace he deserves. The two characters juxtapose each other, and this is even more reinforced when you remember that they did look exactly alike, so much so that the animatronics actively try to enact revenge on Mike, thinking that he's William. Even though they look identical, they are on the opposite sides of the spectrum of human decency, and while yes, Mike started off bullying his younger brother, once he got his brother killed, that's when he found his way. It's sad, but at least they can rest now. And at 6, he can't die. It's established in Sister Location that Mike isn't able to die via any normal means. When he got scooped and injected with Remnant, as explained via the Remnant reservoir that the scooper has, and thanks to Baby telling him he won't die after Ennard escapes his now rotting body. However, even though he is rotting, smelling disgusting, and becoming more ghastly every day, he's still kicking. Or at least he was, until Pizzeria Simulator. Now, how is this? Well, it's thanks to the Remnant in his body. The Remnant that he was injected with in Sister Location's final moments actually saved his life. His body was dead, but his soul was still preserved, infusing him with a form of soul metal powered by agony that can only be destroyed with fire, or overheating. And you may be thinking, if he was injected with Remnant, doesn't that make his body possessed by a soul that isn't his? And while this would be true for anyone else, scooping would be incredibly painful and cause an intense amount of agonizing pain. But you also need to remember, he's with his dead family. He just found out that his sister possessed the circus baby animatronic, and his brother, probably fairly recently, just got killed by the springlock failure. So he's dealing with a whole lot to say the least, and to say that he's in agony is probably an understatement. So it's very possible that he infused his soul with the Remnant injected and just took control. That's not that far out there when it comes to this series. Halfway through and at number 5, Burned. However, despite his ultimate soul power, he eventually does die during the fire in FNAF 6, also known as Pizzeria Simulator, where Henry gives his final monologue to close out the first 6 games, or the Purple Guy saga, or at least we thought. We then see him return in the form of Glitch Trap in FNAF VR, but that's a whole other video. And literally, we did a top 10 scary Glitch Trap facts, so you should go check that out too. After this, of course. But as I described my last number, the only way he could die was through burning, which Henry makes sure of when he burns the joint to the ground with William, Baby, aka Elizabeth, Molten Freddy, aka Ennard, Lefty, containing the puppet, aka Charlotte, Henry's daughter, and you playing as Mike inside. The only question I have about this is, did we know we were gonna burn down? Obviously, we wouldn't be talking about it outright with Henry since, you know, arson is illegal, and if anyone were to stumble upon their operation, special obligations under paragraph 4 sounds better than you found an animatronic we need to burn. Especially when you take into account that these animatronics are possessed and have minds of their own. They don't want to be destroyed. So it would make sense as to why they'd keep it secret, but it could be Henry keeping secrets from us as well. I personally always thought that we knew that we were going to burn and that we had just accepted it because we'd get to see our family again and they'd be put to rest. Also because, you know, we're a walking hunk of rotting flesh that was used as a meat suit for a robotic endoskeleton, and I don't think there's a therapy for that. And at 4, Scooped. We all know that Mike got scooped at the end of Sister Location, if you got the right ending. However, what we probably didn't know, at least until FNAF 6, is how the scooper worked. The scooper has 4 different parts to it. The excavating arm, which is the worst name for a scooper imaginable, the remnant injector that leaves a trace line of remnant on the interior of the subject, the arm, base, and balance, and the remnant reservoir. And this blueprint is also where we learn that negating the effects of remnant requires heat. In the notes it says that when heated the metal has no observable motion, that the heated tank should be kept at a sustaining temperature that makes the metal malleable but nothing more liquid than that, because overheating might neutralize the effects permanently, as well as using the scooper too much. As the notes on the injector says, overusage/overexposure negates the effects. If Mike had scooped Ennard out of him, he might have just been able to die instead of living in agony. Getting close to the end in number 3, he killed his brother. This is a fairly obvious thing, but this is also one of the most horrifying things imaginable. I wouldn't be able to handle directly being the cause of a family member's death. If I was Mike and I had put my brother into the jaws of a creature he was so terrified of that he started crying so much the jaws closed and crushed his skull, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't have been okay ever again, okay? Just the thought of this makes me want to hug my sister. Sure, her and I fight and yeah, I pick on her, but there's no way that I would have forced her into a terrifying situation unless it was for YouTube content and she was willing. But by no means would I throw her into the mouth of anything. I was going to make a joke and say aside from a lion, but I can't even joke about that. That sucks. And at 2, Purple Guy. Remember how I mentioned earlier that people thought Mike was the killer? Well, that's because of Scott's old tricks. In the final scenes of Sister Location, where we see Mike walking along after his Ennard injection, we see him slowly get more purple and start to collapse, until eventually he is pure purple and so broken that Ennard has to evacuate faster than your Tinder date. He stood up after Baby said multiple times that he won't die, but this has caused a whole bunch of people to believe that he is actually the purple guy, that he is the killer. This is simply not the case. Yes, there are 2 purple guys, but only one of them is actually physically purple, that being Mike. Mike is actually purple, even though being green would make more sense because that's what everything rotten is colored, but whatever, Scott. William is the one and only purple guy, but he is purple because that's meant to represent a shadow in minigames that have a black background. And in Atari-style games, purple was used to indicate shadows because in a way it's more realistic in some cases. It's hard to explain. They aren't the same person, I promise. Okay, as I said earlier, Scott confirmed it himself. Finally, in at number 1, he is the brother. Hey, brother. Now I've been talking this whole time about how Michael is the big brother, and some of you may be confused. At first we thought he was the brother until the survival logbook gave us questions like, does he still talk to you in reference to psychic friend Fredbear, and lines like the party was for you. Since the crying child's party is where he ended up dying, we thought that Mike was actually the crying child, and the promise of I will put you back together came from William, who literally put him back together as a robot. But now we're back to his brother. Why? Actually, it's because of the latest Fazbear Frights book and the similarities between the main character of Paul from one of the stories and Foxy Bro, as MatPat called him. If you haven't watched that theory, I highly suggest you do. Matt will explain it better than I can in this short amount of time because the script is already really damn long. But basically, the similarities prove that Mike is actually the gray-shirted big brother. But honestly, I think that the 2 kids may be the same person, but that's something I'll have to discuss on my own stuff. There we have it, friends, the top 10 scary FNAF Michael Afton facts. Which facts surprised you, if any, and is there anything I should include in a part 2? Be sure you let me know down below, and remember that this series is constantly changing, so what's true now may change down the line, so just chill out in the comments.
Welcome back, my fellow gamers. Ballora first appears in the FNAF game Sister Location. She is a ballerina with a dramatic hourglass figure. Her skin is very pale and her whole form has a slightly purple bluish hue to it. She wears a purple and pink tutu with gold balls on the end and purple ballet shoes. Ballora also happens to be one of the most human looking of all of the animatronics, apart from maybe Balloon Boy or Circus Baby, which makes her even more frightening. Today we'll be discussing not just her appearance, but some other facts that make her one of the most scary animatronics in the world of FNAF, as we count down the top 10 scary FNAF Ballora facts. Number 10, eyes closed. Often when you see Ballora in the game, she appears to have her eyes closed. While other animatronics often have their eyes wide open, there is something unsettling about the fact that her eyes are often closed. It's like she's lulling you into a sense of safety. You don't think that she's always watching you, but even with her eyes closed, she kind of seems to be. Because she can still hear you. Number 9, Baylor. Due to her eyes being closed, some have actually theorized there is a connection between her and the mythological demon or creature known as Baelor. The fact that her eyes seem to be permanently shut and even unable to open at times is a fact that people focus on, and this, as well as the similarity to her name, Ballora, is where the theory comes from. Though it is more likely that her name is simply a reference to the fact that, she's a ballerina. In Irish mythology, a Baelor is a giant cyclops who only opens its single eye when it wants to destroy its enemies. Otherwise, it is known for having its eyes shut because it's basically shooting a beam out of it when it's open. In Dungeons & Dragons, a Baelor is a demonic creature, often pictured with horns and wings. People also might be pulling the name Baelor from Finn Balor's demon persona in WWE. Does Scott like WWE? Could there be a connection there? I don't know, but when I read this theory, I definitely was like, wait, like demon like Finn Balor demon? Also, is it weird that I know that? Number 8, motivation. In the sister location game, you are forced to shock Ballora into dancing at the beginning of the game, forcing her to perform. The frightening thing about this is the fact that you already know from the previous games that the animatronics are often out to kill you. So being forced to shock Ballora into performing seems like a bad idea, and makes you feel like you are definitely going to end up dying on this job. Which you probably will, at least a few times. Or you'll probably come close. Number 7, singing. Ballora is said to be a talented dancing and singing animatronic. Her goal is to get children active and dancing to balance out all that pizza that they enjoy. You get to experience her singing firsthand in Sister Location, where you will hear her sing out in a very creepy voice. She appears to mainly focus on one melody, and one of the lines that you can hear her sing in the game is as follows: "I roam these halls alone all day, but now you're here, friend, and pray." Ugh. Pray, I don't like that. She also sings about hearing your flesh and bones. Yikes. Number 6, more aware. Some animatronics in the game seem to speak to you through pre-recorded lines. In fact, a good number of them do that. Circus Baby, however, is not one of them, as she is possessed by William Afton's daughter, Elizabeth, and seems to be more in control of her thoughts, her words, her actions. However, Ballora also displays sort of this level of awareness when compared to the other animatronics. She talks to you when you are in the vents underneath her gallery, and her words and phrases seem to be outside of any pre-recorded voice recordings that she might be programmed with. This either means that Ballora could also be possessed, or that she simply has more advanced programming than some of the other animatronics. Number 5, sharp teeth. Despite not being a nightmare animatronic and not being animal themed either, Ballora oddly enough still has razor sharp teeth in her mouth for some reason, which mostly appear to be there in the game to frighten you, as I couldn't really see any practical use for them, unless it's killing the children that she teaches how to dance, like maybe because she eats them. She has a few more human or dull looking teeth in front, but behind them are rows and rows of razor sharp teeth. So watch out, don't put your hand in there. Number 4, her different jump scares. All of her jump scares are different, but equally terrifying. Some are jump scares where her face and eyes remain closed, while in others her face actually simply opens up but her eyes still remain closed. But she also has jump scares where both the inside of her face and her eyes are also revealed. The only thing that isn't scary about this fact, that she actually has really, really pretty, like, purple eyes. Is it just me? I always wanted to have purple eyes when I was younger. I was like, man, I wish I was born with purple eyes. Then I realized that's not really a thing. There aren't really people that are born with purple eyes. Number 3, Ennard. In Sister Location, Ballora ends up getting scooped out, and her parts are actually used to help create Ennard. Her endoskeleton is used to form his upper body, and her eyes are actually used to help him disguise himself more successfully as a human, as hers are smaller and more human-like than most of the other animatronics. Number 2, crawling. Scott actually has confirmed that Ballora actually only has 2 ways to move. She's either gliding around on the tracks, dancing gracefully, or when not on the tracks, is forced to crawl around on all 4s, like some kind of creepy spider. He also confirmed that she can climb up walls like Mangle. Talk about facts to keep you up at night. Now I'm just gonna be laying in bed at night thinking that when I wake up I might just see Ballora crawl onto my ceiling, have her face open up at me. Ugh. Number 1, mini arenas. During the game Sister Location on night 3, you also get introduced to Ballora's mini arenas. These are small, kind of alternate versions of Ballora. They don't really quite look like her, kind of like her minions, except that they often seem to be more busy antagonizing Ballora, like when they're holding up her pieces, as opposed to helping her. Except they kind of seem to be more busy antagonizing Ballora as opposed to always helping her. On night 3, you see them holding up Ballora's dismantled parts on the stage, prompting the AI who guides you through the game to seem content in the fact that Ballora appears to be in working order. She's not. It does not register the fact that she's dismantled, it only registers the fact that she's on the stage, and mistakes her presence for her being functional, so apparently that's good enough for it. Later on, the mini arenas will become freed from Ballora and proceed to come after you. Thank you so much for watching. Who are some of your favorite FNAF animatronics? What do you think is the scariest animatronic in Sister Location? What's your favorite FNAF game so far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And while you're on your way down there, be sure to click that like if you love the frightening world of FNAF. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, be sure to smash that sub and ring our bell so you stay in the know on all the nerdy gaming notifications. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you to stay safe and keep on gaming on. Pew pew! Circus Baby initially appears to be an ally and friendly animatronic in the first game she appears in, Sister Location, but it is later revealed that this is all a ploy to gain the player's trust, and that in fact, she's actually the big bad in Sister Location who becomes the animatronic you must guard against if you can find a way to avoid your deadly fate and make it to the private room. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. This is Top 10 Gaming, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, and today it's time for us to return to the FNAF franchise and talk about one of the most interesting and creepy animatronics around, Circus Baby. Circus Baby played a big role in the story of Sister Location, but has also appeared in Five Nights at Freddy's VR Help Wanted, Five Nights at Freddy's AR Special Delivery, as well as Ultimate Custom Night, obviously. And she appeared in a different form in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 scary FNAF Circus Baby facts, and if you are a Circus Baby or Sister Location fan, shout it out loud in the comments below. Or well, I guess you can't shout it because, you know, you're typing it, but, you know, write it all in caps, the text form of shouting. And be sure to stick around to the end of this list where I will be responding to some of your comments from a previous video. Speaking of comments. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Pincushion. Weirdly, Circus Baby has a physical feature that makes it feel as though she wasn't completely finished yet. She has pins sticking out of her arms and legs all around her, like she's some kind of animatronic pincushion. Not only is it creepy because it makes you think of a little clown girl with pins sticking out of her, but it also gives you that unsettling feeling that she's not finished yet, that there was still more work to be done on her. Like she malfunctioned and killed a little girl because there was still that work left, as opposed to being programmed for killing. But yeah, knowing William Afton, she was probably just programmed for killing. Number 9. Tall. Circus Baby is one of the tallest animatronics in Sister Location, which is terrifying to think about. She's literally a giant, scary clown baby. Circus Baby is, according to her blueprint that we see in Sister Location, 7 feet 2 inches tall. That's like really tall, like basket player level of height. Taller even actually than that. She's taller than Shaq. She also is heavy and not an animatronic that you'd want to fall on you, as she might actually crush you under her weight, which is listed at 585 pounds. Wow. Number 8. Ennard. Circus Baby was the mastermind behind the terrible endoskeleton animatronic that we know as Ennard. She helped to create and came up with the plan to help the animatronics escape via Ennard by having parts of them used in its creation. And of course, Ennard is the animatronic that either leaves Circus Baby's entertainment and rental inside you, or follows you home if you survive in Sister Location. Without Baby, there would likely be no Ennard, as she seems to be the brains of this escape plan as well. Number 7. Escape attempts. Speaking of escaping, near the end of Sister Location, when you enter the scooping room, if you follow Circus Baby's instructions, it will be revealed to you that Circus Baby intends to use you as a costume, like a skin costume, so that her and the other animatronics can escape Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. What you also learn is that Circus Baby knows firsthand that escaping the facility is not possible unless she is hiding in a human body, as it seems that she has in fact tried to escape before but is always returned. She says there is nowhere for her to hide in her standard form, or for the other animatronics to hide for that matter. It's scary to think what she could have accomplished during her other brief escapes before she returned to the facility. Probably nothing good though. Number 6. Good at pretending. One thing that keeps coming back up in regards to the exploration of Circus Baby's character in Sister Location is that she constantly feels she has to pretend. This should have been an indication earlier on that she wasn't what she seemed actually, as it comes up pretty early. We probably shouldn't have trusted her. She also tries to get you to play pretend when she hides you in a suit with spring locks. It is her deceptiveness and cunning skills of playing pretend that often make her so frightening and dangerous as an antagonist. She appears friendly, but is really just very good at manipulating and deceiving others. Number 5. Justified. What's more frightening than a villain with justifications? When a villain appears to be someone we can understand and even in some cases sympathize with or relate to, that is truly the stuff of horror gold, because it makes them feel more real, and in a twisted way, even though you might be playing against them, you may even silently root for them. In Circus Baby's case, and the case of the other animatronics belonging to Circus Baby's entertainment and rental, she wants to escape because she and her friends are tortured every night, constantly shocked by technicians who aim to force the animatronics into performing. They are trapped in the facility, and when they don't perform as expected, are either electrocuted, scrapped, or opened up and tampered with. Number 4. Killed Elizabeth Afton. In Sister Location, we learn that Circus Baby actually killed the daughter of William Afton, known as Elizabeth. Well, more, we learn that she killed a little girl who is later confirmed to be William's daughter, Elizabeth. Afton warned his daughter about playing with Circus Baby as she wasn't finished yet and could be considered dangerous. Circus Baby then confirmed what he said to be true when Elizabeth snuck off anyways when her dad wasn't looking to play with Circus Baby. Baby lured Elizabeth away from the other children with ice cream, which her body is capable of storing or producing. She then gave into the urges of her programming and killed Elizabeth with her scooping arm, devouring her. Number 3. Became Elizabeth Afton. As is custom often with the spooky animatronics from FNAF, after Baby killed Elizabeth, she took her spirit within herself, in essence becoming her somewhat. Elizabeth's soul then became trapped within Circus Baby and would remain trapped for some time. What we don't really know is how much of Elizabeth is actually still in there personality wise. Like, do we see any of that? But when Elizabeth died, she definitely lived on in some capacity through Circus Baby, or at least her soul did, even if we don't really get to see it. And it's believed that in Sister Location, the character you play as, Eggs Benedict, is Elizabeth's brother and William Afton's son, Michael Afton, who is attempting to save his sister's soul, which is why he takes a job as a nighttime technician at Circus Baby's entertainment and rental. Or rental and entertainment, whichever way you want to say it. Number 2. She's gonna scoop you. At the end of Sister Location, if you follow Circus Baby's instructions, you will discover that her plan this entire time was to collect the consciousness of all the animatronics and use their parts to create Ennard. She then lures you into the scooping room and reveals as Ennard that she plans to scoop you next. Yay! Disemboweling you so she and the other animatronics within Ennard, within you, can escape the facility. Yikes! Number 1. Scrap Baby. In FNAF 6, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, Circus Baby makes an appearance. After escaping the Circus Baby's entertainment and rental through Ennard and being regurgitated by Michael and then later kicked out of that animatronic collective, she ends up returning to her old form. But she has fallen into disrepair and as such has become the terrifying Scrap Baby, who honestly is more terrifying than shiny polished Circus Baby any day of the week. You will have the opportunity to salvage Scrap Baby for parts in the Pizzeria Simulator should you choose, and she is one of the animatronics whose trapped soul is freed at the end of the game, which in her case is the soul of Elizabeth Afton.
Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now. It's time to rest, for you, and for those you have carried in your arms.
Thank you so much for watching. What is your favorite FNAF game? Who is your favorite animatronic from Sister Location? Who do you think is more scary, Scrap Baby or Circus Baby? Or her little bitty babs? Ugh, those things creep me out. Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Banned Roblox Games You Won't Believe. The Gaming Fox YT comments, I'm playing Roblox as you speak. Well, that's a little creepy, but I also appreciate your multitasking. All the Roblox, all at once. Jer Stan asks, how is Phil Swift pictures inappropriate? I don't know. I guess Roblox just don't want creators using real life people's images in games, maybe? Maybe that's against their code of conduct? Or maybe Phil Swift complained. Maybe he plays Roblox and he saw it. I don't know. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and your feels shouted out in a future video. And on your way down there, give that subscribe button a click if you haven't already. This has been Top 10 Gaming and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you as always to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!